Here to tell us a little bit more about the Wildcats, the top seed in the East, is the voice of Villanova, Ryan Fannon. He's here on the Sports Bash Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Ryan, welcome back, man. How are you?
Oh, great to be on, and nothing like being in the second weekend of the tournament. You know, you get all the madness that starts with the conference tournaments, and then that first weekend, can you survive and get to that second weekend? And I tell you, there's nothing like the Sweet 16 weekend. It's so special because you can just taste it 2 games from a Final Four.
And Villanova was in that position 2 years ago, got knocked out early last year. How much is that early exit last year driving this current bunch?
Well, I think they've seen so much. You know, this is a team that's got some young parts, but also has got a lot of veterans that were part of the national championship 2 years ago. So they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to win at the highest level, winning the national championship. But they also felt that just awful feeling of losing in the second round of Wisconsin a year ago. So in a way, they've been able to really see both sides of the coin, and they don't want to live 17 again by going home too early. And this Villanova team right now, starting with that Seton Hall game back on February 28th, where this team's defensive level went to really big-time new heights in terms of their overall togetherness defensively. This team has grown immensely in the last 2.5 weeks, and now this team, I think, is peaking at the perfect time.
Yeah, this is a very interesting matchup. West Virginia, 18 turnovers they forced against Marshall, and they play that aggressive defense. But I think Villanova is one team with the guard play they have that maybe can handle it. I saw they've been practicing a lot against that pressure because seemingly not a lot of teams pressured Villanova during the course of the season.
Yeah, and Villanova's got the guards to break this pressure. You know, the best chance to get uncontested shots against West Virginia's defense is if you can beat the first wave of their pressure because you can get numbers on the backside. And I think that's going to be one of the big keys tonight. When Villanova, if they can break that initial full-court pressure, because Huggins said it yesterday in his press conference, we're going to do what we do. And when Villanova, I think with their outstanding guards, can break that pressure, Villanova in the first 10, 12 seconds of the shot clock is going to get a lot of open threes when they break that pressure. West Virginia really struggled defending the three this year. So I think this is where if Villanova's hot tonight, this is a great matchup for Villanova because we know Villanova, their ability to make threes is incredible. I mean, this year Villanova has made 12 or more threes in 21 of their 36 games. Villanova's going to get threes if they make it tonight. I just think on paper it's a great matchup, but give credit to West Virginia because I think they're absolutely peaking. I watched every minute of their Murray State and Marshall games, and this is a team that's truly playing their best basketball of the year. And I'll tell you what, Javon Carter is playing at an incredible level, the senior point guard who's arguably the best defensive guard in America.
Ryan Fannon with us. Ryan, there's ups and downs in every season, but how do you think this Villanova team got better from having to go through guys being out of the lineup and learning to win without them? Phil Booth comes to mind, like what he adds to the lineup at the time that he missed and how they learned to win without him and then have him come back.
You know, I look at this season in a couple different stages. Late December, Villanova won at DePaul 103-85, but Jay Wright talked about that they were nowhere near where they needed to be defensively, and he felt something was coming if they were going to stay at that level of not playing defense the way he built his program on defense and rebounding. And then it happened in the next game. December 30th at Butler, Villanova gave up 101 points and lost, and Jay could really see that coming in a way. And then you get into January, and Villanova was clicking on all cylinders. Then the injuries came, and then I thought the loss at Creighton, when Villanova gave up 89 points on February 24th, that was the turning point of the season. Jay got the guys together and said, look, you guys offensively are incredibly talented, but until you make that full commitment on the defensive end, we will not reach our potential. And remember that Seton Hall game that Villanova won on February 28th, it was 52-52 at the end of regulation. Villanova won by 1 in overtime, and there's no doubt in my mind that game began this 7-game winning streak that put everything together. Villanova is a complete team now. They're healthy. They have depth. I think this is the best offensive Villanova team in school history. And right now, Villanova defense and rebound is coming together. That 16 team was special in so many ways. The leadership, the intangibles, the talent, the back-end stopper in Ochefu. But I'm telling you what, this team can win a national championship. Whether they do or not, we'll find out in the next 2 weeks.
And good feelings about how your path's been so far. Pittsburgh and Boston, you got to have good feelings being in Boston. Man, was Scotty Reynolds 9 years ago already? Has it been that long?
It's been 9 years, and I'll never forget that moment of coming up here and drilling Coach K and Duke in the Sweet 16. It was a thing of beauty. I've been doing the games 20 years. I always wanted to play Duke one time in the NCAA tournament, and Villanova took them apart in the Sweet 16. And as great as that moment was, 2 days later, Villanova and Scotty Reynolds, with his runner in the lane with under a second to go, to send Villanova to their first Final Four at that time in 2009, since they won it all in 85. It was an incredible weekend up here in 09. And tonight, what a doubleheader. Texas Tech, Purdue, two terrific defensive teams to follow the first game of the night. Villanova, West Virginia, the old matchup of two Big East teams. Huggins, who's been to two Final Fours, one at Cincinnati, one at West Virginia in 2010. Jay Wright, who's been in two Final Fours. They're both future Hall of Fame coaches. What a matchup on paper tonight.
Ryan Fannon, the voice of the Villanova Wildcats. You just heard him 20 years. Let me get your take on, we know West Virginia, Carter, the guard play there. They got the two
Daxter Miles, the other senior.
Yeah, Dax Miles, two seniors. But Kanate, this is a guy that changes a lot of games because of the way he protects the rims. He's not a big offensive guy, but how do you think he fits in or affects this game with Villanova?
He's huge, and I think if Villanova can get him into early foul trouble, it's one of my other big keys to this game. At 6'8", 250 pounds, he's a former soccer player. He's only been playing basketball for 4 years. He's got incredible footwork, and he's a tremendous shot blocker, one of the leaders in the country. He averages over 3 blocks a game. He is a guy that really helps West Virginia because when teams break pressure and then try to attack the rim, he's on the back end of that, and that's what makes them such a tremendous defensive team. But again, if Villanova can break that pressure initially, like I said, they're going to get a lot of those threes initially in the shot clock, and Sagaba Kanate is going to have trouble running out to get them because he's going to have to be that backline defender, and that's why I think that's the biggest key, as I mentioned earlier, those threes early on in the shot clock. If Villanova makes them and makes them at a high level, I think Villanova would win this game convincingly under that scenario.
And I'll tell you, Ryan, I watched every Mountaineer game the last couple of years, and the kid who's the wild card is Ahmad. Last year in a tournament game, he went for 20-some points, and when he's got his head on straight, he might be their most talented overall player. It's just a question of whether he's showing up or not that night. But Essa Ahmad is just he's been a wild card for 3 years at that place.
Yeah, and, you look at their front line. Wesley Harris is 6'8", Ahmad 6'8", and Kanate 6'8". They're very athletic. I think Ahmad is absolutely, in my opinion, probably their third or fourth best player. I think Carter's their best. Kanate's their second most effective player, but Ahmad's right there. He's a huge factor in this game as well. And, Pascal's a guy that Villanova Villanova has so many players. Pascal's a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot, but he's had a tremendous year. And just how athletic Pascal is and how athletic Ahmad is and then Kanate is, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. And we know Spellman, unlike Ochefu 2 years ago, he's a stretch 5. So when he goes out and to shoot the threes, if Kanate goes out and follows him, that can open up the middle a little bit for Villanova guards to attack and try to get maybe Ahmad in foul trouble if Sanate's pulled out to have to guard Spellman.
It should be fun because, as you mentioned, Javon Carter, I don't know what more you could say about him as a program guy to stay there all 4 years and just be the consummate collegiate player. Who knows what's going to happen to him at the next level, but very good defensively. That should be a lot of fun. This one should be a lot of fun tonight, as you mentioned, two former Big East schools. But just this Villanova season, 32-4. They had the early exit in the Big East tournament, but a win tonight would certainly change all that and give Villanova a pretty nice path. The winner of this game is going to have a nice path.
Yeah, I believe we're in the toughest bracket left.
Yes.
But at the same time, because of the way these two teams are peaking right now, the winner of this game, I think, is going to have a tremendous chance to win as well on Sunday and get to the Final Four. Javon Carter, he's got that look right now. Brunson's most likely going to win National Player of the Year. maybe when we get to the Wooden and the Naismith, he's already won some of the National Player of the Years. I actually think if Carter and Brunson end up just being an even matchup tonight, I think the big difference is when Villanova, when you get to talk about the third, fourth, fifth best player on Villanova, that's where I think the talent really starts to turn, because after Javon Carter and Miles and Ahmad and Konate, who are four really good players, Villanova can go that deep at six, where I think West Virginia only really goes that talented to four players, and that could be the difference. Villanova might just have to make this very simple, just too much talent for West Virginia in the end.
And I'll tell you, both teams had an easy path so far in terms of score. They both kind of cruised, but I think West Virginia got hosed with the 5 seed. This game should have been in the next round, not this round.
Yeah, but even if West Virginia had moved up, I think, to the 4 line, I think they still would have been in this spot.
Well,
they
beat Texas. They beat Texas Tech twice and beat them on the Saturday before the tournament. Texas Tech got a 3 and West Virginia got a 5. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, but I think the key was, you look back, West Virginia needed to get one of the 3 Kansas games. And if they got one of the 3, I think they would have been on the 3 line and not had to play a Villanova till the Elite Eight. That's my take on that.
All right. Ryan Fannon will have the call. Villanova, West Virginia tonight. 7:27 is the tip. Ryan, appreciate it, pal.
Hey, great being on with you. Let the madness keep rolling on.